Hello guys and welcome to Odds on Champions League Draw, Redraw, Draw Part 2. We are going to analyze again what we saw in the draw because of course the fixtures are completely different. We did a live video, now we are doing another one with the real fixtures. So please comment with us because we have Álvaro Romeo and Dani Fisichella to analyze with us all 8 games fixtures so we can have an idea on what to expect 2 months ahead of the games. How are you, Álvaro? How are you, Dani?
It's great to be here again.
Groundhog Day. But can I say something? No one ever says well done to UEFA for the millions of time that they got the draw right. Once it was going to happen.
That's a very singular take of you, Daniele.
But I think it's bad. But come on, it's human.
I mean, well,
yeah, it is human. I agree, it is human. But the explanation was even funnier because they blame software.
Blame someone else.
They blame the software. What software? You just need balls and papers.
That's very human, actually, blaming someone else. So, guys, comment with us the video. Of course, like the video, subscribe to our channel. And now let's go on with the show. And the first one to blame UEFA is me, actually, because the first fixture that we are going to analyze is PSG Real Madrid, and I'm not very happy at all with the redraw because it should be Benfica. Now it's going to be tougher, way tougher, but there is a lot on stake. Will Mbappe have signed a contract by that with Real Madrid? Because on the 1st of January, he can sign a contract with any other team. Sergio Ramos going back to the Bernabeu. There are many other things. Florentino was not very happy after his offer for Mbappe was rejected in the previous summer. All these 2 teams will meet on Tuesday, 15th of February, and checking the odds to qualify that we can already see. PSG are favorites, 1.82, Real Madrid 2.2. Álvaro, 2 months away from this tie, and actually last time they met in the last 16 round, everything changed in these 2 months because PSG were super favorites, and then when February came, Real Madrid was way better.
I remember that PSG went through as first in a group with Bayern. That happened 3 years ago. And Real Madrid didn't look that good. And at the end, they ended up being super competitive, as they usually are. And I believe that there was a factor then that may repeat itself again, which is Neymar being or not. Because you remember that Neymar was not there. This time it's still doubtful, right? We still don't know whether Neymar is going to be there, in which conditions, whether he's going to be fully fit or not. There are so many angles to this game. Obviously, the offer, rejected offer for Mbappe this summer, the potential return of Sergio Ramos to Santiago Bernabeu, even though he's been living on a stretcher for the last 3 months, so we don't know whether he'll be fit or not. Lionel Messi hasn't scored against Real Madrid for a while now, since Valverde's time. So, I think that we have spoken about PSG, we have spoken about their defensive duties. There are 7 or 8 players who defend, no more. This obviously costs them, but at the same time, it's a curse and a blessing because up front you've got Mbappe and Lionel Messi and possibly Neymar. When it comes to Real Madrid, they were so impressive against Atletico the other day. They've been very impressive in the league. Edu, this is something that you may not know, but since Ferland Mendy came back, Real Madrid hasn't lost a single game. 13 games unbeaten, 10 wins, 3 draws. And it all started with Mendy coming back because he's putting everyone back in place. Alaba as a centre-back with Militao, Nacho to the bench, which I believe that this is his place right now, and Carvajal is playing too. So Real Madrid is looking very good. The midfield is so automated. It's difficult to call this one, but for this game alone, I will go for the under 3 goals. That gives you a marginal win of 185. It's all right. I think that Real Madrid can defend very well as well and kill it at Bernabeu. And Real Madrid to qualify, I'm in favor of this a little bit, just because it pays a bit better than PSG to qualify. And Real Madrid, as I said before, they played as an automated machine that pays 220.
I think
Nacho scored by the way, Danny, Nacho scored a great goal against PSG when they were playing in the group stages with Benitez on the bench, if I'm not mistaken. He scored
Yes,
a
with
great goal.
with the left foot,
Exactly.
right?
I think it was
A very
cross,
weird
but it
volley.
came in. Yeah. It was a very weird goal, but be careful with Nacho. Danny?
I mean, I wonder who's got more pressure going into this game, because for Real Madrid, winning the Champions League this year is not an obsession, it's not an objective. Of course, they want to get as far as possible, but for PSG, winning the Champions League is the ultimate, the unique goal of this season. They base their transfer market based only on winning the Champions League. If they fail, it's going to be a disastrous campaign again, no matter if they win the Ligue 1 or not. Now, so I think this could play a part for it, but nonetheless, big players step up in big games. So we're not saying that PSG are going to suffer from the pressure, but if I look at the two teams at the moment, the one that is more aligned with his manager philosophy and with his manager style of play is certainly Real Madrid. I know some Real Madrid players would like to play more attractive football, would like to push on a little bit more, would like to press more. But what Ancelotti has said very clearly is that if I go the midfield of Modric, Casemiro, Cross, I'm not going to play the pressing game. I'm just going to wait a little bit. And that's what he did against Inter and did really, really well, because then you got the talent up front to play and win games. PSG at the moment, where is the pattern of play? Where is the imprinting from Pochettino? Is Pochettino going to stay there beyond this season if he doesn't win the Champions League? I'm not sure they can support the three attacking players if effectively Neymar is there with that midfield as well. Man for man, maybe PSG might be slightly better or got players that got more trajectory, but I think as a team, Real Madrid are much more accomplished, and I would trust them to score at the Parc des Princes. And yes, the odds for Real Madrid to qualify are way too high, 220 compared to 170 for PSG. I think you definitely have a look at Los Blancos for this one.
Madrid is more balanced. Guido is telling us Real Madrid won in the Parc des Princes when they were playing in the last 16 round for the last time in 2019. And it's very interesting, actually, what Danny said about who is going to be more disappointed being out of the competition, because none of these teams are prepared, of course, to be out on the last 16 round. Although Real Madrid, as Danny said, this year, I think they don't have the necessity to win the Champions League, but they must win the La Liga title, that's for sure. Then the best, probably the clash, no? The biggest, the most important fixture of this last 16 round. In the Parc des Princes, let's go to Portugal. We have Sporting Man City, one of the legs that I guess it should be one way. Of course, Man City will be favorite against every team, especially because the bookies love Man City. And they don't have the European pedigree, but still they are more reliable than in previous seasons. And year after year, Danny, this Man City is getting better also in Europe. They are not making the mistakes that they did in the past. Well, just 2-3 years ago, also they went out against the Spurs, that we didn't expect that. But I guess against Sporting, we can see these odds are only for the game played in Lisbon. Man City shouldn't have any trouble to kick out Sporting.
It shouldn't have any trouble to qualify, I would say. They are the favorites by the bookmakers to lift the trophy. Perhaps two favorites if you compare them to Liverpool, but we're going to talk about this a little bit later. For this game, yes, of course, Man City are going to be favorite for the way they rotate the team, for the way Guardiola is using his entire squad. Nothing suggests me so far that they're going to come to February and struggle with form. Now, this is the time of the year, December, November, where Guardiola really shows what he's all about, how he changes formation every week in and week out, 4 or 5 changes, playing different solutions, playing with the false 9 recently with Grealish. They are not suffering from the fact they don't have a number 9 or a proven goal scorer this season, because I think up to 13, 12 players have scored so far in the season. No one has gone into double figures yet, but it's a real collective effort. Yes, Man City are playing probably the best football they played for months, and they go to Sporting, which is a team that has surprised us many. Ruben Amorim, a 37 years old manager, plays on the front foot, likes to play 3-4-3. They got good players, Gonzalo Guedes. Also, they got Sarabia for free from PSG. I think it was a good buy. It is a team that is not afraid of taking risks, and what they achieved in the group qualifiers was quite amazing after losing the first two games. So it is. I think. Look, when we were analyzing the group stages, we said in the Champions League there are very few teams that cannot score you goals. Probably Malmo, Dynamo Kiev, but Sporting is one of those teams that can hurt you, can score you a goal, maybe by conceding a few. So yes, of course, Manchester City favorites. I would imagine the odds for the reverse fixture are going to be even lower, but maybe for the first time in Portugal, you could go for a both to score, which doesn't pay too badly. It's 187 at the moment on Oddspedia, considering how well Sporting are doing also domestically.
Both teams to score, City to win for Manchester. Sporting, if the game was going to be played this week, actually they are in great form in the domestic competition. They beat Boavista, they beat even Benfica in the Lisbon derby, but talking about the Champions League is very difficult, Alvaro, to see a surprise here.
I think so, yeah. I think that this time Manchester City will have the upper hand, but it's worth remarking that there has been two Manchester Cities this season, at least number-wise. One in the Premier League. They have conceded only 9 goals in the Premier League, which is really good considering that they have played more than 15 games in the Premier League. But in the Champions League, they have conceded 10 in 6 games. So this Manchester City, they have been a little bit more, perhaps, happy playing in the Champions League against Leipzig, for example. Then they played against PSG, of course. That was not going to be easy either for them. So, of course, you are going to concede more goals in the Champions League, right? Because your opponents are better. But having conceded 10 in the Champions League is quite a lot for a team of Guardiola. And I think that he will be working on that now that the knockout stages are coming. I think that Manchester City are defending fantastically. And then they dominate you in a way that it's unprecedented probably in English football. We saw that with Guardiola's Barcelona, with Guardiola's Bayern, and now Guardiola's Manchester City. It's astonishing how much they dominate you, to the point that against Watford in the first half, it would have been 6 or 7-0 like only 2 weeks ago. It was very impressive. I mean, the gulf between them and the rest of the teams in the Premier League, apart from Liverpool, Chelsea, and maybe Manchester United and Spurs, is astonishing. I think that they will be involved in the title race, obviously, by the time this game comes. But the same thing applies to Sporting Lisbon, and they've got worse players. I believe Sarabia was a very shrewd signing. I believe that Gonçalves will be very important for them in the second half of the season. Let's don't forget, last year he scored 23 goals. Gonçalves, the young Portuguese, and this season he's been in the sidelines for a little while. He's back, and I don't think that the Sporting Lisbon has the capacity to eliminate the Manchester City in 2 games. I think that they can cause an upset one day, but that will be a one-off. But my favorite odds here would be probably the Asian handicap -1 for Manchester City. It's kind of a marginal game, but I know that many of our followers like just the 158 return for your money, because probably they are betting more than 1 unit, or the clean sheet for Manchester City. Here I'm going to disagree. I beg to differ a little bit with Daniele. I think that Manchester City is going to improve defensively in the knockout stages, and I can see them getting a clean sheet with the likes of Ruben Dias, Laporte, Walker at the top of his game.
Walker,
if he's ready. No, he's not available, sorry. Cancelo and whoever plays at the back. I think that they are going to be really, really, really solid.
By the way, of course, when the time comes, we will analyze every single game more in depth and give you better tips, I hope, because we will know team news, team form. The games still are to be played in a couple of months. Then another big game, Inter-Liverpool. Danny, for sure you are not happy as well with the redraw. When we check the odds to qualify, no one trusts this Inter odds 4.0 to qualify, Liverpool 1.32. Last time these two teams played was long time ago. And
no, it was close. It was close. No, it was in the 2007, 2008 with Mancini. We lost 2-0 at Liverpool, lost 1-0 at Milan with Fernando Torres scoring. But yes, probably the one you're referring to was back in the 60s.
Yeah, the head-to-head actually is lost, no? Basically against Liverpool. Do you give any chance to Inter, or you should expect Liverpool defense to have many injuries as happened last season?
Well, I mean, that obviously was a contributing factor to Liverpool not doing very well last season, and we saw the difference this season with Van Dijk, with Matip, and also in the middle of the field as well with Fabinho fit. Of course, they got a lot of strengths there. Chances for Inter. Inter has been playing well so far this season. They qualified for the first time in 10 years to the knockout stages, which I don't think is a big surprise for the champions of Italy. But the big thing is that they've done it well. They play well consistently. And what impresses me a lot is the quality and quantity of passes that they exchange leading to goals. So the goals are really very well worked. What Simone Inzaghi has done is taken the same system of Conte 3-5-2, but has given more freedom, especially to two of the central defenders, Bastoni and Skriniar, to attack the spaces and almost play as wing backs. So Inter in the end attacks with 6-7 players. 3 of them are in the opposition box, and they exchange position a lot. This is going to cause Liverpool some issues, of course. Inter is a team that had the most shots in the Champions League group stages. It is a team that recovers the ball or try to recover the ball quite up the pitch. So yes, Liverpool are going to be dealing with an attacking team, especially in the first leg in Milan. Of course, Liverpool has got the quality to shut down the pressing, to elude the pressing. It's got great defenders who can obviously match physically as much as Dzeko and Lautaro Martinez. And obviously, Liverpool on the wings, on the flanks, it's devastating. I mean, probably Inter have never played a team with 2 fullbacks as good as Robertson and Alexander-Arnold. So it is going to be tough for Inter. Both teams are going to be in the title race in the respective domestic competition. Maybe a little bit of hope for Inter is that Liverpool might get to this game a little bit tired, maybe after the lot of fixtures played in January, December. But again, Klopp, I'm sure, is going to rotate the team. But maybe for a team that hasn't strengthened that much in summer, that could be an issue. But obviously, this we have to see. Also, there is the big question mark of the Africa Cup of Nations. Keita, Salah, Mane for Liverpool gonna go there in January. So how they're gonna return from that, we don't know. Maybe Inter are gonna have less absentees in the key month, but nonetheless a difficult one for Inter. Of sure, I'm sure they were happier with Ajax, but which was the first time. In terms of odds, you have to look maybe at the goal market at the moment in Oddspedia. Over 275 goals, so basically 3 goals to win half your stake or more. That pays 189 for a spectacular first leg in San Siro.
As Envano is saying, Álvaro, the odds for Liverpool to win 2.4, 2.2 right now are good enough at this moment, actually.
And I like them, and I chose them because I think that Liverpool will win this game. I liked it in the group stage. I believe that they, as Daniel said, in some of the statistic charts, they were up there in attempts. For example, they are the club that have taken more in the Champions League so far, even though you have to cross-check that with their opponents. They also played against Sheriff. They also played against Shakhtar, the team that lets you play a little bit as well. So, there are some caveats in there, but of course Inter has been good, and against Real Madrid they were very competitive in both games, but then Real Madrid has something else, still has something else. I believe that Liverpool has been amazing. I mean, when they unchain their storm, no team is parallel to them in Europe. Apart from Bayern, I think, they are capable of attacking spaces, they are capable of attacking tight defenses. There is no scenario really that Liverpool dislikes. I think that this is something that defines this Jurgen Klopp's team, because I know the kind of the scenarios that Pep Guardiola's teams dislike, like, for example, playing against a tight defense, maybe counter-attacks from quick players. But this Liverpool really can afford anything, and this doesn't make them better than Manchester City or better than Bayern. I'm just saying that they are capable of facing every situation with a certain optimism. The African Cup, it's obviously a terrific influence. Will have a terrific influence in the season for Liverpool, but at the same time, this season they are more ready to to rotate because the likes of Minamino, for example, the likes of Thiago Alcantara, the likes of Harvey Elliott, who might be back sooner than expected, by the way, I believe that could have an influence this season too. Diogo Jota is going to become the most important player for them. I'm pretty sure about that because in the absence of the two Egyptian and Senegalese strikers, he will get a lot of responsibilities up front. So I think that Liverpool is looking good for the season. The African Cup of Nations, let's see the impact that it will have, but they are very well equipped. The squad this season is bigger than it was a few seasons ago. So I'm going to go for the following. Yes, Liverpool to win, that pays 214. Liverpool to win the first half, a bit more speculative, but when they come into the games, they come very strong, 265. Or the Asian handicap -1 for Liverpool. You know, I'm doing upgrades constantly on my bets. Asian handicap -1 for Liverpool, meaning that they have to win by 2. That pays 320.
One other factor that we need to think about that sometimes we forget to mention is that at the end of January, early February, there are also the South American qualifiers, 2 games that were postponed. In Inter, I got a lot of South Americans. So yes, there is the African Cup of Nations, slightly longer tournament, but let's not forget about that. So yeah, it's going to be tough for loads of those teams dealing with player coming and going, possible COVID infection. So yeah, when you see the odds, anything can change, really.
And the thing is that, Daniel, some of the South Americans at Inter are probably the most important players in the team.
Absolutely.
I mean, so they are not just peripheral players at Inter.
No. Absolutely.
Especially if they are playing in Uruguay, Chile. That is the case, not for Lautaro Martinez, for instance, because Argentina's ticket to the World Cup is done. I think it's going to be very entertaining. This Inter-Liverpool. Then we have Red Bull, Salzburg, Bayern Munich. I guess also Bayern supporters are happy seeing that they have Salzburg instead of Atletico de Madrid. Salzburg, first time with an Austrian team in the last 16 round. They were surprising, I guess, in an easy group with Lille, Sevilla and Wolfsburg, but here they are, and is one of the most clear ties. Álvaro, Bayern Munich to qualify is 1.1. I think they shouldn't have any trouble to win both games.
No, they shouldn't. Well, I think that Bayern, they have been as dominant as we would have expected. I believe that this season they are going to benefit a little bit from the small Christmas break that they've got in the Bundesliga. At the end of the day, let's don't forget that 2.5 weeks in the middle of the season can do wonders for a team. Probably Joshua Kimmich will be better because now he's having some lung issues associated to COVID-19. Hopefully he'll be better. We know that all his stance with the vaccination and all that. But yeah, Bayern has been impressive. I think that very few teams in the world can field Thomas Müller, Sané, Lewandowski, and someone else, Coman or Gnabry. I mean, players who can score anytime. They are quick, they are powerful. I mean, what else? And then Goretzka and Kimmich coming from the back. I mean, this is very impressive. And then the defenders. I know that Bayern's defensive unit is not perfect. I know that they make mistakes here and there, but their physicality is astonishing as well. So basically, they can put themselves on your side of the pitch, dominate you, and if the other team has a counter-attack, they've got the likes of Lucas Hernandez or Upamecano or Alphonso Davies who can run back and really stop any counter-attack from happening. They are, for me, the big deal in Europe altogether with Liverpool and Manchester City. And Salzburg, I think that they were impressive in the group stage. You said before, Edu, that they had an easy group. Yes, but they made it look easy as well. And for example, against Sevilla, let's don't forget that they, at Sánchez Pizjuán, we're going back to September, they had 3 penalties. And they only scored 1. But, you know, they could have beaten Sevilla as well. And qualify slightly earlier in the group stage. So I really like them, but I think that the proposition of Salzburg is going to be something that Bayern knows very well. And I believe that Salzburg is going to play against them like many clubs in the Bundesliga, and Bayern knows basically how it goes against teams like this. For example, Bayern to win the second half is something that I like here. It gives you obviously a better value than Bayern winning, 166. Or the Asian handicap -1.5 for Bayern. That pays 209, and this is my favorite bet.
And last year, Bayern went to Salzburg, won 6-2. In the reverse fixture, they won 3-1 in Munich. And yeah, I mean, yes, it was 2 competitive games, good to watch, but Bayern were out of touch, out of sight very, very early. The thing with Bayern is that with Nagelsmann coming in, things haven't really properly clicked, but we know this manager needs time. And I think things can only get better now for Bayern if they get the best players back, if the partnership at the back, 𝗗𝗜𝗦𝗍𝗍 and 𝗚𝗟 improves. I think Bayern is a team that can only improve. So far was simple, easy. They had a couple of setbacks maybe in the league. They are out of the German Cup after the shocking defeat against Mönchengladbach, but that means that they are only focusing on this game and the league. So again, less fixtures for them, and plus the Christmas break, so that can help. For Salzburg, I think it's an exciting team to watch. Adeyemi, Okafor, good players. They also have a good manager. They could have qualified much earlier. And I think, if I'm not wrong, they had the highest expected goals in the Champions League when they were playing at home. So the both to score option could be there, but with Bayern scoring plenty. Alvaro said Algen handicap -1. I even see an Asian
Minus
handicap
1.5.
minus 1.5, sorry. I could even go higher, -2, which is 2.83. So they need to win by 3 goals. But it could be an entertaining game. It could be high scoring game. But yes, it might be like watching Bundesliga. By how many games Bayern have won 3-1 for one? At the end of the day, it's in the bank after 30-40 minutes. It's in the bank.
Yeah, exactly. Bayern Munich, they don't pay attention actually anymore to the small games in the Bundesliga. They always beat also the older team of Salzburg, no? Leipzig, so they shouldn't have any problems with Salzburg. It's going to be a massacre. Envano is saying, I think we all agree with that. Probably an easy one as well. Chelsea, Lille, this one. We don't have to analyze it.
We go back to the other video.
Go to the other video and check it.
Put a link to the other video.
Chelsea supporters, they are happy. Tuchel is happy. The current champions. Actually, if this game is going to be played tomorrow, I would be skeptical, let's say, or cautious about Chelsea, because they are conceding a lot, because Lille is getting better. And the positive thing, Danny, is that Lille started the season so bad in their domestic league. They changed manager, of course, that everything only can go better for them, especially in Ligue 1.
It is a strange team, because every time I look at them, it seems like the season is kicking off again. They put in a couple of results together, then they have a setback. Difficult to predict this season. They're very low in the table compared to where they were last season, and I think it's because they conceded far too many goals. Losing Magnan as a goalkeeper has been a problem. Playing a lot of games without Sven Botman has been a problem for them. And yes, it is a team that hasn't really struggled to find the form to close game down. And they might be losing another player in January, 𝗗𝗜𝗦𝗍𝗍𝗍, who's probably going to join Fiorentina. So I wonder whether there's a little bit of restructure going there for the France champions. And they were the lowest ranked team in this draw, number 62, and they play the number 3 ranked team in UEFA, which is Chelsea. Chelsea going through a little bit of a wobble at the moment. I think they conceded 10 in the last 5 games, 3 at Zenit. They conceded 2 against Leeds. They are also struggling with injuries. Let's not forget they had Reece James and Chilwell out in the crucial moment of the season now, of the last few months, after the majestic win against Juventus. And Lukaku has been out as well. Maybe they are not using him as well as they should. Maybe they need to try to use him a little bit better to hold the ball up, pin his marking down, having runners in behind. Again, it is a team that seems to me that things can only improve for Chelsea, having seen them playing so well across October and November. Again, I said the game against Juventus was one of the best I've seen them play in the last couple of years. Let's not forget they were missing Kante as well in the important game at Zenit. So I wouldn't go too much on the considering they're going to concede goals. I think they're a quite tight defense. They're one of the strongest defense in Europe. They kept a lot of clean sheets since Tuchel came in, and I think it's going to be the same for this game. Good odds on the win to nil for Chelsea, for example, 225 at the moment on Oddspedia.
And actually, Álvaro, Chelsea last season, they kicked out all the Spanish teams, Sevilla, Atletico de Madrid, and Real Madrid. And as Danny said, they were all tight margin, but Chelsea negotiated the games really well. They didn't concede chances, they didn't concede goals, and was kind of not working in the park, but was kind of easy for them.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest strengths of Chelsea is that they just shut the door and you don't know what to do. Not being a defensive team, which is something very remarkable because they just shut the door even when you have the possession at the back. It's really impressive the way that Thomas Tuchel has set up this team over the last 12 months or 11 months, to be honest. But I have seen flaws in them as well. I think that this team needs to work collectively very well because the individualities are not offering so much. I think that Jorginho, for example, sometimes he has felt a little bit like, who is my partner here? Because Kovacic and Kanté hasn't been featuring lately, and Loftus-Cheek or whoever plays alongside him, Saul, for example, they haven't been worthy of Chelsea, especially Saul, let's be fair. They haven't been worthy of Chelsea's shirt. And what happened in the last 2 or 3 games with Chelsea is a bit concerning, of course, but I wouldn't take too many conclusions yet because I believe that this can be fixable. For example, against Zenit, I saw many one-on-ones from Zenit strikers with Edouard Mendy, and this is something that you didn't see before. So whether this is going to be something circumstantial or something that will repeat itself in the future, it's something that we still have to see. But Chelsea is obviously a favorite for this tier, for this game alone. And Lille, they have improved a lot. At the beginning of the season, they lost like 5 or 6 games up to the 29th of October. When they lost their last game against PSG. And since then, they haven't lost a single game. They are climbing up little by little in the Ligue 1 table. I know, as Daniel says, that maybe in this winter transfer window, they may suffer an upset or two, obviously, because last season they won the league and they've got still very good players. But I'm going to go for Chelsea here. I believe that they are the favorites. I think that the Romelu Lukaku factor is something that we haven't explored enough because he has barely been available for Thomas Tuchel. And I think that he can be a league changer, Romelu Lukaku, especially if he shows the level he has at Inter Milan. So for this game, I'm going to go very simply for a clean sheet for Chelsea. That pays 2-10, and I know that this team, when they defend well, they are still the best defense in Europe.
Chelsea to qualify is 1.25, really favorite. And as Envano is saying, I hope that Lille don't lose Jonathan David in the Christmas window because he's too good. Yeah, I said, by the way, that Chelsea kicked out Sevilla. No, they kicked out Porto, but in Sevilla, that was my
and Sevilla
mistake.
in the group stage. Sevilla in the group stage, they put them second. They beat them 4-0 last year. Yeah.
After Sevilla was kicked out by Borussia Dortmund, actually, in the last 16 round. Then this is an interesting one, actually. Villarreal, Juventus, Álvaro. This is the first time the Juventus will face Villarreal. Juventus arrived to this fixture, of course, as favorites, but they had terrible mistakes the last 2 years in the Champions League against weak teams, and we know how this Emery Villarreal can compete. We showed it against Atalanta. Be careful, Juventus, be careful.
Be careful, and especially because Gerard Moreno is back, and Gerard Moreno is the key player for Villarreal, because let's face it, I mean, Danjuma has been fantastic, probably the breakthrough player of La Liga in the beginning of the season, but when Gerard Moreno was not there, all the scoring responsibility fell on him, and Danjuma is not a great scorer. Now with Gerard Moreno as the focal point, Danjuma can play better, Gerard Moreno will score the goals, and the likes of Jeremy Pino and Samu Chukwueze will probably find someone to put in the net their crosses. So Villarreal is playing well. They are recovering players. I think that Villarreal, as strange as it sounds, they've got probably the 3rd or 4th best squad in La Liga. I think that their squad is better than Sevilla's. I'm sorry for my Sevilla or our Sevilla fans, but they've got such a depth in midfield with Parejo, Iborra, Coquelin, Capué. It's very impressive. Up front, they've got 4 or 5 really good options. Even Dia or Alcácer can play there. And Unai Emery, so far in the Champions League, I will say that Villarreal has been the better side in 4 of 6 games. I think that against Atalanta in the first game, Atalanta was better than them, and I think that Manchester United at El Madrigal was better than them. But Villarreal has been, at least, as I said before, they have been tremendously competitive in 4 out of the 6 games they have played in the Champions League so far. And with Gerard Moreno, they are going to improve for sure. So here I could go for the Villarreal to qualify, because Juve to qualify pays 150, Villarreal to qualify pays 250, but I'm going to take it slowly because I don't know what Juventus is going to do in the winter transfer window. Maybe they are capable of bringing a player who changes the direction of the team a little bit, especially up front. But for the game alone, maybe the first half draw is something that I could look into here, 212, and the Asian handicap 0 for Villarreal. That pays 210, and I like it a lot.
What Juventus are trying to do in the winter, if they're doing something, is to try to bring goals, because they missed so much the goals that Cristiano Ronaldo scored last season. I think in the league they are minus 13 compared to last season. They think about someone like Cavani, maybe someone like Icardi on a loan, someone who can really finish the chances that they do create from time to time, but they struggle to convert. And it's been the same story in the Champions League, really. 3-1-0 Chelsea, Zenit, Malmo, and they are top of the group unexpectedly. But there is a feeling in the Juventus camp that this is going to be a tricky trip, because they're going to face a team with European pedigrees that knows how to manage games. It is a team that is going on the up, whereas Juventus is a team that sometimes doesn't look like a collective. It doesn't look like what games they're playing, whether they're pressing, whether they're waiting. The old guard, Chiellini, Bonucci, Szczesny, Quadrado, has been there, has done that, but they're not as sharp as they used to be. So for Allegri, it's a real dilemma whether how do you approach this game, because he's been far too passive, far too reactive in big games. Sometimes he worked out, like against Chelsea, but in other times he's been dominated, completed as Chelsea the return game, but also in a few games in Serie A. Goals are going to be crucial for Juventus if they want to go through the knockout stages. A team that has disappointed a lot in the last few Champions League campaigns, for sure. And also there is a big doubt about Dybala, how fit Dybala is going to be. I know they want to renew his contract, 10 million a year for a player that plays once every 3-4 games. Sometimes he's not fit. It's difficult to rely on Paulo Dybala all the time, despite him being a big talent. For this one, first leg, I cannot see Juventus be two favorites, to be fair, but the Asian handicap for Villarreal, that pays around 205 at the moment on Oddspedia, so Villarreal not losing that game, I think that's more appealing.
This is a very interesting tie, as Santa is telling us, Emery, well, he says will knock out Juventus out, at least can, and the odds are good if you trust Villarreal. 2.65 against 1.52 for La Vecchia Signora, the old lady. Danny was talking about Cristiano Ronaldo, so let's talk about Man United, Atletico de Madrid. This is another interesting one. Atletico de Madrid, they are happy. They were complaining after the draw because they didn't want to face, of course, Bayern Munich. And now against Man United, of course, they have a chance. But be careful, because Cristiano Ronaldo is back to the Metropolitano and his victim. Atletico Madrid is one of his favorite victims as a Juventus player. I still remember his goals with Juve to come back in that great tie. Also with Real Madrid. Danny, I think this tie is one of those that will change a lot in the next 2 weeks, 2 months, because Man United, they have a new manager, and Atletico de Madrid, they can only improve.
Yeah, and also Man United can only improve. I think we haven't seen the full effect of Rangnick yet. 2 good results, 1-0 against Palace, 1-0 against Norwich, with some struggles, I would say. The win against Young Boys was, well, the draw against Young Boys was a lot of changes. So, it depends how much Rangnick is able to implement his ideas, his pressing style, playing on the front foot. Let's not forget, Man United are going to play every 3 days now until February, March, with the Cups, with the FA Cup, with the busy schedule. So it might not be straightforward for him. And I also wonder if in European football they can really play with a midfield of Fred and McTominay in games when you need to dominate possession, when you need to be comfortable on the ball. I am not entirely sure that's the best midfield for Man United in this game of games. And, yes, of course, they got a lot of options in attack. They probably going to score a goal, but are they going to concede? Well, Manchester United this season have been quite leaky at the back. I think only 3 or 4 clean sheets so far this season, so a very poor record. This is something they need to improve as well, and they can improve it by having the ball more and looking after it a bit better. Now, Atletico Madrid, they've done it again. They went to Porto. They were alive in the last 20 minutes. That's the scenario that Simeone likes. That's the scenario that the opponents fear a lot. But, sometimes this works out for Simeone, but he sacrifices having the ball, playing in attack. He sacrifices some of the talent that they still have. I know that 2021 for Atletico has been dreadful, but they need to try and do more if they want to advance in the Champions League stage. You cannot just leave off the last 20 minutes in the second leg. So yeah, for Atletico Madrid and Manchester United, the first leg could be cagey, I would say. So if you look maybe at the goal market, going under 225, that pays 2.8 at the moment for Oddspedia.
When we saw the first draw, Alvaro, you said there is no option, of course, with Atletico Madrid against Bayern Munich. Do you give them now some options against Man United?
Yes, I do, of course. I think that Bayern was too much for them. Manchester United are about their level, or even a little bit lower. But Atletico has been really poor this season so far, and that's why they are so far away from Real Madrid in the league. This is a team, Atletico, that doesn't defend as well as they were defending before. They have conceded 18 goals this season already. This is a team that they are playing strikers with no plan whatsoever. It's like today I play Cunha, tomorrow I play Suarez, and tomorrow I play Griezmann, and tomorrow I play with Joao Felix and Correa. But there is no plan attached to it. You know what I mean? It's just putting players up front and let's see what they can snatch up front. And I don't like that. I think that Atletico de Madrid has the quality to play a much better football. Then in defense, they have the problem with the individuals alone. I think that Jimenez, Savic, they are not as good. But then I was very positively surprised at Porto because they fielded Kondogbia and Bersalico in defense, and none of them are center backs. And Atletico probably put the best display defensively of the season. So, some games in the Champions League, they have shown us that Atletico de Madrid is a team that we can still believe in. For example, the second half against Liverpool at Wanda Metropolitano with 1 man down. The second half against Porto was very good as well. So, I think that Atletico can improve, of course, as Daniel says. But my question is, will Simeone have a very attacking approach against Manchester United or not? And then Manchester United, how much are they going to improve? Their midfield, it's very immobile, in my opinion, with the ball especially. You give the ball to Fred and McTominay, and it takes the mages to turn back and pass the ball. But then, once that pass is done, Manchester United can be dangerous again with the likes of Bruno Fernandes and all the lot they've got up front. Obviously, Cristiano Ronaldo is the most shiny star they've got in there. So, for this game in particular, I think that anything could change a lot from now until February. That's number one. And number two, if we had the away goal rule, this game will be totally different. But the away goal rule doesn't apply anymore this season. I know that Atletico, for example, when they play up front in the first leg with the away goal rule, probably they go for the 0-0. This time, the story changes a little bit. You know what I mean? So maybe both teams to score is something that I could look at here. Why? Because Manchester United is a power force scoring, and because Atletico de Madrid will probably this time change a little bit the plan. There is no away goal rule, and they will try to score this time too. So both teams to score 190.
Losing the away rule for Simeone is like losing a relative.
Really, it is.
Because he's like basically most of the game plan is based on the away rule.
And some of the most successful Atletico de Madrid victories have been thanks to, qualifications, thanks to that. Do you remember the 0-0 with Chelsea at Vicente Calderón? And then they beat Chelsea 1-3 at Stamford Bridge.
Yes.
Well, last season it was very cagey. Also, Atletico de Madrid, Chelsea. Chelsea won with Giroud, scoring the winner to qualify. This is more balanced, actually. Atletico 2.2, Man United 1.78. And the last game fixture is a beautiful one. I love to see these two clubs in these stages of the Champions League. Benfica, Ajax, two historic teams mostly offensive to this fixture. If it's going to be played today, of course, Ajax should be considered favorite because it's one of the teams that we like the most in the Champions League. Also, lately they are doing the things way better in Europe. They won all 6 games in the group stages, the first time that a Dutch team does that. Alvaro, what can we expect in this beautiful Benfica Ajax?
It's a nice game. It's a classic game, and I can only expect right now Ajax to win. I said yesterday in our Match Maligned show, that one that should have never happened because the draw was repeated, that the only reason not to trust Ajax is just a prejudice that comes from my childhood, because, you know, Dutch teams, and especially Ajax, they play happy football, but then in defense they are not so good. But the truth is that I have to vanish that prejudice from myself, because this doesn't apply this season. Ajax defensively, they have been good. In attacking, they have been excellent. They have beaten Sporting Club Portugal this season already. They have beaten Borussia Dortmund. They have knocked them out already. So, and they are looking very impressive in the Eredivisie. They are not conceding many goals. So this is Ajax right now, and they are one of the hottest propositions in European football. Benfica, they qualified in the group with Barcelona. They did a good job beating them at Estadio da Luz, because that was a group changer scoreline when they beat Barcelona over there 2-0 or 3-0. I don't remember very well right now. So I think that Benfica has done very well in the Champions League so far. They have beaten the opponents that they have to beat, but they are going to be involved in a title race, and they, by the time they are playing against Ajax, and I do believe that Ajax have better players. They are more dangerous. They've got better defenders, better strikers, and a better style. Even though Benfica, they are solid and they've got one of the best managers in Europe with Jorge Jesus, but still. So I'm going to go here for an Asian handicap -1 for Ajax. I like that one. That pays 320, and I think it's appealing enough. I can see Ajax causing an upset in Portugal, as they did back in October when they beat over there Sporting Lisbon 5-1.
They've done it before, as Alvaro said. They've done it before, and they were so good against Sporting Lisbon. And Sporting Lisbon were so good against Benfica a couple of weeks ago in La Superliga. So, okay, if you apply this logic, Ajax should win 10-0. I know it's not like this, but I think there is a difference in class between Ajax and Benfica. Ajax were defeated at the weekend by AZ Alkmaar, so they're second in the league. But, you know, this can happen. This is a team that's got a goal difference of +45 in the Eredivisie, so high-scoring team that is playing the right kind of football. You know, they always been doing, and you know, so much saying that the Eredivisie is not a challenging competition. Well, it is if you play the right style of football, if you implement your ideas, as team like PSV also doing, which is top of the league. Then it's very challenging because you are pushing yourself to the next level, not just about buying the most expensive players. And Ajax is what he's doing. He's only nursing player, coaching them and training them. I think Haller now is a better player than what he was, for example, at West Ham United. Anyway, Benfica, not to be underestimated, because normally they do not lose at home. They are quite sturdy when they play at home. And, you know, it is a team that's got a mixture of experienced players, João Mario, Vertonghen, Otamendi, being rejuvenated there in Lisbon, but also Darwin Núñez, Rafa Silva. So, you know, a team that can especially stretch you. Rafa Núñez and Rafa Silva stretch defenses, especially if they play with a high line. But for this one, I'll be confident for Ajax to get a good result to go back to Amsterdam. Maybe you could go Ajax to score first, take the lead, as they often did in the group stages. Five times out of 6, they took the lead. Doesn't pay too much, I know. 175.
Ajax already won in Lisbon against Sporting, and Vano is telling us that the odds are very high. Of course, for Ajax to qualify 1.32, Benfica to qualify 3.52, and to finish the video, Fanta is asking you, Danny, which team do you support?
But there are clues behind me, so it shouldn't be too difficult to guess. Let's talk. Watch the next video.
Yeah, we have on Thursday Serie A.
Yeah,
so
watch
we
the
can...
next video.
We already talked about it also in this video. I support a white team with a lot of Champions League. So you have your answer. And of course, Alvaro is a proud Athletic supporter.
And another team.
A bit less.
A bit,
Thank
a
you.
bit like, I've seen you before. I met you when they were playing. Anyway, time for another one.
Thank you, Alvaro. Thank you, Danny. See you very soon. On Thursday, we have more videos, and we will be back with the Champions League in February. Of course, we will analyze every single game. See you, guys.
Ciao.
Thanks, everyone, for
Thank you.
watching, and don't forget to press the like and subscribe. Bye.
Bye.